You see with hypergamy, right?
Yeah.
I think average men and average women are missing each other. Because I think a woman's average and a man's average is different. That's what someone told me, that a woman told me that a woman's average is different from a man's average. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay, so an average woman will want an above average man. Whereas an average man will be happy with an average woman. Does that make sense?
I feel like it's the other way around.
I think it depends, though. I think you have to look at it. It's a bit like when let's say you're playing Street Fighter. When you play something like Street Fighter, you have speed.
Computer games.
Yeah, I must give an analogy. You have speed, agility, 6'5", that sort of thing. So maybe someone may be average in the looks-wise.
So you got to look at somebody's
but
stats.
personality-wise, you can see her. She could be a mother of my child. She will look after her home, and men will compromise looks for that.
Right, but you see, like Kevin Samuels, right? He gets quote unquote average women that have got 3 kids for 3 different guys calling his show, saying that they want an above average man, and it's like would you get an average guy calling a show saying, "Oh, I want fucking, I want Nicki Minaj"?
No.
It's like no, it's like no, you're not gonna get that.
Because obviously as men, we'll say more realistic. Yeah.
But are women as realistic as men?
I think it's because life is like harder to men. Like I think life is harsher because women still can get attention and sex from above average guys.
100%.
Where men are not going to get attention or sex from anybody if they're average. You know what I'm saying? Like and so it kind of inflates like girls' ego on the other side. I feel like there's a certain age that you can't blame your childhood anymore.
No, because I don't think what happens as a child always sticks with us. Will always to some degree always stick with us. It's whether we choose whether we're gonna let that control us for the rest of our lives or not. But so for example, if you were abused as a child, that's always going to be with you.
It depends if it's living in your conscious or subconscious.
Exactly.
Because a lot of the time our conscious behaviors are because of our subconscious, right? But if you are consciously saying, "Oh, I'm only doing this because of my childhood," then you're to blame.
You're consciously choosing to be an
to
asshole. If you want to make excuses,
point taken.
That is your problem at that point. But genuinely, it really depends on when you decide to unpack the trauma.
Right.
Because when it comes to being from a minority family, I promise you all of my aunts and uncles have been abused at some point by my grandmother or grandfather, whoever it may be. It's very common, especially in the Caribbean. But my dad only really started unpacking the problems behind that within the last 10 years, I would say. My mom hasn't done that at all. And if she were to sit down with me today and be like, I realized what I went through in my childhood was messed up and this is why I am the way I am today, I would think that she has every right to say that, and I would think that she has every right to blame her childhood because she only just realized it.
No, I understand that. I just think like I understand saying, okay, this is the cause of that behavior and that's good to know, but I just think over a certain age you can't make the excuse of your childhood anymore.
Yeah, no. If you know that was the problem, then it's up to you.
I feel like there's an archetype of a guy that just.
But you don't.
I think.
Okay, so if you know you're like this because of your childhood.
If you're aware and you use it as an excuse, that's when it becomes a problem.
Right. Okay.
Because I have been in relationships where people will be like, I got trust issues. Like, my mom beat me when I was 7. Like okay. So you're aware of that. Why not unpack that?
Well, I'm like, what did I do?
Come back together later.
What did I do?
Like, what did I do to you? You know mommy hit you. So now what?
Like, why do I have to pay for that? Like, the trust issues from your last.
I think where the maturity comes into the place, whereby you acknowledge you have this side of you because of past trauma, which you can't control.
Right.
You have a responsibility to say, okay, this is how I feel. I'm not going to put myself in a situation like a relationship whereby these traumas that haven't been dealt with could surface up and sabotage their relationship.
I guess you just shouldn't be in a relationship if you haven't dealt with your own demons in the first place. I mean, everyone's got demons, but it's whether or not they resurface constantly. And it comes back to traumas again from childhood. Are you a narcissist? Have you built up this wall? Are you protected?
But don't we all have demons though?
Usually
we do all have
that's
demons.
When people get into relationships the most, when they're most psychologically fucked up because they can't find love anywhere else.
And the mistake is that my partner is going to be my cure to my own trauma, and that's what messes people up.
Going to be my therapist.
Have you noticed that the most narcissistic people jump from relationship to relationship to relationship? Is that just me, or do you?
No, that's a common thing.
So here's the thing with me, right?
So that I'm just standing up for myself, and I know how to speak and articulate myself properly. People, on the other hand, get quickly intimidated by that because they don't have the same ability to speak for themselves the way that I do.
Do you know, I would say I don't think it's intimidation. I would say it is acknowledgement of the fact that they're not willing to engage with aggressive behavior. And so a lot of the time...
So that is intimidation.
No. It's not. It's actually smart.
It's a wise decision.
It's actually a wise decision. So it's like if somebody keeps bringing aggressive behavior to me, as a man, I would say, I have to make a decision as to whether or not I am going to deal with that. And I'll be like, you know what, 9 times out of 10, especially if it comes from a woman, I ain't willing to deal with it.
But here's the thing.
But the thing is, on your side, you may see that as me being intimidated by you. I'm just saying, listen, I hear you're aggressive and I can see you're aggressive, but you know what? Go give that to someone else.
There is
I ain't got time for it.
There is an Asian proverb that says a man will rather be in the wilderness than come home to a nagging wife.
Nagging and
As a matter of fact, he would rather live on the roof
than
have a nagging wife.
Nagging and aggression are not the same thing.
No, they can be.
But that's not the case for me. I'm just passionate.
That's how man interprets it.
Okay, you guys don't understand that we're talking about things that I'm passionate about. Yeah. So of course I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more passionate in the way that I carry myself in this conversation. However, when it comes to normal conversation, I'm chill. Like, genuinely, I'll just be chilling. I'm usually very calm, and I'm usually just very, like, I'm excitable, laughing, all that kind of stuff.
So you could change your tone depending on the subject?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I don't think you're a bad person. I just think, you do have an aggressive tone, though.
See, the thing is, growing up, I heard consistently that I was intimidating. Usually from girls, it was, you were intimidating because you were pretty and you know yourself. And from guys, it was, I can't handle that. And unfortunately, that's not my problem. I hate to say it, but like, if you can't handle it, that's fine. That just means that you're not meant to be around me.
I can't handle aggressive women because women are not supposed to be aggressive and to be handled, if that makes sense. Like,
I don't think we're supposed to be handled or tolerated or anything like that.
Right. So so if you're an aggressive woman, I would literally, in my own head, say, okay, cool. She needs to go and be with a man that's going to be okay with that. I'm not okay with that because, I guess the bottom line for men generally is that aggressive women come with a lot of problems. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to like. I'm not trying to like.
Don't worry, I'm waiting for the silver lining in this comment.
No, I'm just saying that if you're aggressive but you say if you're looking for a man or a partner, men generally do not want aggressive women.
Yeah. That's a very interesting statement because I have dated quite a bit of men in my life.
But you haven't stayed with them. You haven't stayed with them.
I haven't because
men that you've probably like not manipulated. Probably men that you have been the man in the relationship.
No, because I have been authentically myself from beginning to end in each relationship I've been in.
You see, I don't like that word when people say I have to be authentically myself. If I said I have to be authentically myself, I'll sleep with any attractive girl I see.
That's authentically yourself.
What does that mean? What connection does that make? Because I'm a little confused.
Authentically himself, he will sleep with anybody.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that we have a base nature. But the whole point of it, you have self.
But my base nature is not just sleeping with a bunch of people that I find attractive, though. That's your base nature, so you're speaking for yourself.
There's always a toxic shadow side to each human being. We all have a dark side, right? That's what I'm just saying.
I never said that I was only good. I said I was authentically myself.
But I think his question is like, what is authentically yourself? Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so he's saying like.
I don't change the way that I act in order to attract a partner, just to end up changing up later on.
So you're saying, yeah.
So I would say like, half the time that these relationships didn't work, it's either that I wasn't emotionally mature enough, or I left for college, or I have other, like, I'm a very individualistic kind of person. And especially within the last few years, like, I graduated from my bachelor's program. I graduated from my high school program. Like, I was involved in so many different jobs and activities and social justice work that sometimes relationships didn't really fit in with my agenda. And I would just be like, hey, like, I realize that this is not my priority right now. And I realize I have to focus on myself. I feel like I'm still too young to get into a relationship, or like I'm too young to get a little too involved in this relationship. Maybe it could work later on, but right now it can't.
Yeah.
Right.
And plus, you have to bear in mind that your mentality probably will change in the next couple of years or so. So
that's the other thing. That's why I kept making it clear that in the relationships that I got cheated on, I was very young. Like